how have you handled juggling like the client care side of things, the business side of things, like without getting burnt out? Because you mentioned how you burnt out before in your previous job.
Yeah. So for me, I know when I'm burning out because like my immune system drops and like my emotions and things like that, like I'll feel more down than I will feel happy.
Yep.
So definitely like when I was working my other job and the business, I was doing 6 days a week and it was just so much. So that's when I decided like enough's enough. I can't do this.
Take a big deep breath. You're like, okay, I got to make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm out.
And then for the business now, I'm open Saturday, Sunday. So it's quite unusual for a physio to be open on a Sunday, but the gym that I rent from is closed. So that's when I do a lot of my one-to-one exercise rehab because I have access to the whole gym and the clients like it to be quiet, I found.
Cheering.
But then I had to tweak my hours because I was just working too many, day shifts, and I'm a morning person, but I had to have some evening shifts in there. So now I have Tuesday, Wednesday off. And what I've learned from being a physio, me personally, I need 2 days off. If I have one day and then one day, later in the week, it's not enough for my brain to switch off because usually the first day off, like I'm still thinking about work, and then the second day I'm actually trying to relax.
Trying to switch off.
Not so much with the business now. I find it really hard because I do enjoy working on it. It's like this weird dynamic of like, oh, I'm so tired, but I actually really, want to follow up on this, or it's quite, I don't know, it's weird for me to think of now, whereas when I worked for someone else, like I left work at work.
That was it.
It was like 5 p.m. That's it, I'm out.
But for me, it's having 2 days off in a row, like scheduling like weekends away, like we just went up to the Blue Mountains, like those getaway trips, they're really important for me, and having a trip planned, like an overseas trip planned, like that's something that I really look forward to. So little things like that.
So that's how you prevent your burnout.
Like in a nutshell.
Because I don't really believe in burnout.
Oh, you don't believe in it?
So we have this debate every single podcast and it's always brought up. As soon as you said it, I was like, ding, Brendan's going to bring it up.
Okay, so whenever I've gone to a physio and I've presented like some type of injury, for example, that meniscus tear that I had, a lot of the times a physio will come to me and say that the reason I got injured was because there was a discrepancy between joint capacity and joint load. And my joint load was a lot higher than what my joint capacity was. And the way to prevent that injury from happening again would be to increase my joint capacity. And that would be through strength training or, all those things that are involved in rehab in a way. And I'll just follow the protocols. Lo and behold, 10 weeks, whatever the length of the rehab was, fixed, back to playing my sports. When it comes to burnout, I feel like that there is a way for you to prevent it from happening ever in your life if you increase your capacity.
You definitely could, but I think the average individual probably wouldn't think that far ahead as to like if I do X, Y, Z, then it's going to, prevent burnout. I feel like, if you're really driven and you're always pushing for more, then it's hard. It's, that boundary gets blurred. But there's definitely warning signals, right? That you get.
I think my belief is once you've hit it once, you know how to deal with it the next time.
What it's like and it feels shit.
Like you go away, you spend time on yourself, you take the 2 days off, like you do those things to prevent it from happening again. And I believe
like those overseas trips or those planned trips away. So then you have in your mind, I'm going to be working hard for the next 4 weeks, but then I have a weekend getaway.
I think that's the common consensus now is like, okay, you just need to do X, Y, Z to prevent it. Can be going away, but there's such a big list of things that you can do to prevent it.
But
I don't, there's a book about it. And I always reference the book. It's right behind the on-air sign. It says burnout. And Brendan goes, I don't believe in burnout. But there's a book, Brendan, look.
Yeah, but I can write a book that says
I don't believe in burnout.
I don't believe in burnout, yeah. I think though, like from a physio perspective, burnout culture is huge. Like I'm not sure, if you're aware of the stats, but the average like lifespan of a physio now is 5 years, but they, so people are leaving.
I never knew that.
At that 5-year point, which is really when you become a senior clinician.
Yeah.
Is this, they finish their degree?
Yes,
5 years
and
later?
they've worked 5 years. Yep, and then so they might not necessarily leave the health profession. They could go into
PT or something.
Yeah, or they could just pivot and go into like insurance or like ortho sale. Like there's different avenues that people. So you're not treating face to face. You don't have a clinical load.
Just on the phone, or like distancing themselves away from face to face.
Yeah. So there's been that trend, but now like with the stats, I'm pretty sure people like when they've redone the stats, people are leaving at around the 18-month mark. So yeah.
So it's actually getting worse over time.
Yeah. And I think so I do think that burnout culture is there, but it's how do you deal with that? And everyone's going to be different in terms of how they respond to stress, what their resilience is like, what's the work culture like. There's all these different things that come into play. But it's definitely, I think, real in physio land.
In the physio land. Yeah, because
I like that.
Because the average lifespan of a PT is 6 months. But I feel like that's more of a financial thing rather than a burnout thing. Because I know for PTs,
that's really short.
It's because it's a very
like when you said 5 years, I was like, oh, that's a long time for PTs. Like it's
because it's a very competitive industry. You've got everyone's like an online coach these days. You go on Instagram, you look up PT, a million accounts are going to pop up with options and things like that. If you get your PT certs and you walk into a gym, there's probably 20 PTs in there. That have been working there for 15 plus years. They're just going to overload you with information. Clients are going to come in and be like, no, I'm not going to Tom who's 18, Brendan who's 18 years old. Why wouldn't I just go to 40-year-old Rhiannon?
My back hurts just
who's got a decade of experience, who I'm actually going to get results with. So a lot of those PTs, they're really excited, get their foot in their door. 6 months go by, they've probably got like 2 clients in that period of time, and they're like, this isn't sustainable, so they leave.
Yeah. Is it normally as a full-time job, or would people do it as like a side hustle first?
It's usually seen as a side hustle job.
It's usually seen as a side hustle job, but I think those people that see it as a side hustle job tend to fall in love with it because it's something that they used to do. But again, it's case dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely case dependent because I chose it as a side job.
Yeah.
And I was doing it through uni.
Yeah.
Because I was actually going to become a physio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nice.
Then I fell in love with PT that much that I stopped going down that path and pivoted down this path.
Yeah, good.
But I also did make it into physio, just so everyone knows.
You wanted to run a podcast instead.
The podcast is probably more successful.
I think it's it's different. Like the lifespan of a practitioner is very different to a PT. What would you say to people that are doing their studies at the moment to become a physio?
Yeah, how we probably scared them now.
Yeah, like they don't want to do it. No, I'm joking. But what would you endorse for them to do for them to enjoy the job or enjoy the career?
Yeah. Well, I can really only speak from private practice because you also have physios that will work in the hospitals as well. But I think, from a private practice point of view, mentoring is huge, especially in your new grad year. Like you graduate, you're a generalised physio, but the unis, they really train you up for hospital. So pretty much all your placements, at least for me, were in the hospital sense. And because our last year was in COVID, for our musculoskeletal side, so everything that we do in private practice, that was all online. So like you're trying to learn hands-on therapy. They were literally like back then, like use your dog, use your cat, like just
anything you can find.
Yeah. So for our cohort, the ones that went down the private practice route, like I just feel like we didn't have the same hands-on skills as what the previous years would have had. So yeah, mentoring is huge. Having a look at the other physios that are in the clinic as well. So it's good to have a spread of, new grads, junior physios and seniors. It's quite hard if you're going into a practice just with seniors, because as a new grad, you'll feel quite overwhelmed with, the difference in years. And it's nice to be around people similar of your career. It's good to bounce ideas off and things like that. So yeah, I think mentoring is a big one, and team culture as well. And then, giving yourself grace. Like it's really hard to do an initial consultation. You're meeting someone new for the first time. There's a lot going on. They're often in pain. So just, being kind to yourself.